Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 1210th Public Hearing and Regular Meeting of the Livonia City Planning Commission. I wish to inform all interested persons in our audience that for petitions on tonight's agenda, which involve a question of zoning, the Planning Commission will make a recommendation to City Council, and the City Council, after holding their own public hearing, will make the final determination as to whether a petition is approved or denied. The Planning Commission holds the only public hearing on requests for preliminary plats and/or vacating petitions. The Commission's recommendation is forwarded to the City Council for the final determination as to whether the petition is accepted or rejected. If a petition is requesting a waiver of use or a site plan and is denied tonight, the petitioner will have 10 days in which to appeal the decision in writing to the City Council. Resolutions adopted by the City Planning Commission become effective 7 days after the date of adoption. The Planning Commission and professional staff have reviewed each of these petitions upon their filing. The staff has furnished the Commission with both approving and denying resolutions, which the Commission may or may not use depending on the outcome of the proceedings tonight. If our Secretary is ready, please call the roll.
Mr. Naro.
Here.
Mr. Bongiro's here. Mr. Ventura.
Is here.
Mr. Long.
Present.
And Chairman Wilshaw.
Is here. And also with us, we have Mark Toromina and Stephanie Reese from our Planning Department. I want to thank Mr. Bonjero for filling in for secretarial duties in light of Mr. Caramagno's absence. And just for the folks in our audience who may not have been to one of our meetings, what we're going to do is hit each of these agenda items that are on our agenda tonight. We'll start with our Planning Department giving background information on the agenda item. We'll then ask the petitioner to come forward and speak to their agenda item and tell us about their proposal. Then there'll be an opportunity for anyone in the audience who wishes to speak for or against the petition to come in forward to us and give us their thoughts as well before we make our decision. So with that, we have two items on our public hearing section of our agenda, and we're going to start with item number 1.
Petition number 2024-01-01-01 submitted by SR&D Development under sections 13.13 and 13.15 of the City of Livonia zoning ordinance as amended, requesting to rezone the property at 18340 Middlebelt Road, located on the east side of Middlebelt Road between 6 Mile Road and Pickford Avenue in the northwest quarter of section 12 from RUF, Rural Urban Farm, to C1 Local Business.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Toromina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is a request to rezone a single parcel from RUF to C1 Local Business. This property is on the east side of Middlebelt Road. It's approximately midway between 6 Mile and 7 Mile Roads. The address is 18340 Middlebelt Road. The property is approximately 1.87 acres in size. It has 156 feet of frontage on Middlebelt Road. The depth of the property is roughly 512 feet. Properties abutting the site to the north, east, and west are all single-family residential, and then to the south is an office complex that is zoned C1. Despite the current RUF zoning, this property does have a long history of commercial uses. From 1959 till about 1992, the site was occupied by a landscaping business and retail nursery. And then in 1993, the Zoning Board of Appeals granted a variance that allowed for the development of a physical therapy rehabilitation clinic, and that operated until about 2 or 3 years ago. The current owner and applicant, SR&D Development, purchased the property late last year and is renovating the building for reuse as a wellness health center. The building is about 10,000 square feet and is located near the front of the property, with parking available at the rear and along the north side. The developed portion of the site is located near the front of the property of the west half, and as well as the parking areas. The east half, extending for a distance of about 285 feet, is undeveloped and maintained primarily with grass. There is a protective wall that runs along a portion of the north side of the property. The remaining section of the north property line, as well as the east and south sides, contain wooden fences. In 1983, the Zoning Board of Appeals temporarily waived the requirement to build a protective wall in these areas and over the next 20 years, the Zoning Board of Appeals granted temporary extensions of the wall waiver. Then in 2005, the adjoining residential property owners signed a 5-year separation agreement with the previous owner, TheraMatrix Incorporated, which avoided the need to return to the Zoning Board of Appeals. However, these separation agreements have since expired. Changing the zoning of the property would eliminate the nonconformity concerning the commercial use of the land. In addition, it may help facilitate the owner's desire in the future to expand, realizing that any proposal to either construct a new building or enlarge the existing building will require site plan approval. The Livonia Vision 21 Master Plan does designate the subject property as medium-density residential. With that, Mr. Chairman, I can read out the correspondence.
Yes, please.
We have a letter from the Engineering Division dated February 8th that reads, in accordance with your request, the Engineering Division has reviewed the above referenced petition. We have no objections to the proposed rezoning at this time, but would like to note the following items. Number one, the subject parcel is assigned the address of 18340 Middle Belt Road. Should additional addresses be needed, the owner will need to contact this department once permitting has been completed. Number two, the legal description submitted with the drawings appears to be correct and should be used for the property if the rezoning petition is approved. Three, the existing parcel is currently serviced by public sanitary sewer and water main and storm sewer. The submitted drawings does not include any proposed utility information or calculations, so we cannot comment on any proposed impacts to the existing systems at this time. Should the proposed improvements move forward, we will review utility improvements and impacts during the permitting process. And number four, although the drawings do not indicate any future utility information, it should be noted that any proposed development will be required to provide stormwater improvements in detention per the Wayne County Stormwater Ordinance. Stormwater calculations will be reviewed during the permitting process. That letter is signed by David Lear, Assistant City Engineer. Next is a letter from the Department of Finance dated February 12th indicating that there are no outstanding amounts receivable, general or water and sewer, and therefore they have no objections to the proposal. That letter is signed by Connie Compula, Chief Accountant. We have an email correspondence coming from the City Treasurer, Susan Nash, indicating that taxes on the property are current. And lastly, a letter from our Assessment Department dated February 14th that reads, a request has been made by SR&D Development to rezone the property at 18340 Middle Belt Road from RUF to C1. Based on the plan submitted, it appears they want to construct an additional building on the site. The parcel would need to be split to accommodate another building. It is unclear how they would access the rear of the property. Please direct any questions to the assessor's office or livonia.gov for the lot split and combination process. And that letter is signed by Kathy Sitterlet, residential appraiser, and that is the extent of the correspondence.
Thank you, Mr. Toromina. Is there any questions of our planning staff? I don't see any questions for our, Mr. Ventura.
Chairman, Mr. Toromina, since I wasn't here for the study on this, do I understand that any action we would take tonight is strictly a rezoning action, would not have any implications with regard to future development of the site?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Ventura. Any other questions for our planning staff? Okay, I don't see any other questions. Our petitioner is here tonight. Feel free to come to our podium, either one, and introduce yourself. Good evening.
Hi.
We'll just
Sorry,
ask that you start
I'm
with your-
nervous about this.
Oh, you're fine, you're fine. Just start with your name and address, please, for our record.
Okay, my name is Sahar Durant, and my address is 200 North St. Clair, Toledo, Ohio, 43604.
Thank you, Mr. Ant. And what would you like to tell us about your rezoning request?
So as Mr. Tormino spoke, right now there's already an existing building, and there's about half an acre of land that's still left over. And as he said, it's something that we plan to do in the near future is to hopefully expand out into that area. Primarily right now, the main thing we want to do is rezone. And as we finish construction and see how our turnout is, if we have a lot of turnout, we want to have the ability to expand right next door to where we are in order to take on more clientele. The current space we have right now is very limited, so we're only gonna be able to accept limited memberships and clients. So I'm kind of thinking in the long run to have a plan ahead.
Okay, thank you. And as we normally mention when we have rezoning requests, the petition itself is just a rezoning request. We're not looking to approve anything other than a change of zoning on this property at this time. But this would give you the potential of coming back in the future for site plan changes if you wish to expand the building or do things like that.
Yes.
So our focus tonight in our discussion is primarily going to be around zoning, but we may have some discussion about what your future plans are. So just so everyone understands kind of the goal of the meeting here tonight. So thank you for your comments. Is there any questions of our petitioner in regards to this rezoning request? Mr. Ventura?
Good evening, and thank you for coming here tonight. Can you tell us exactly what a wellness health center does?
Yes, so my background is in sports psychology, so a lot of the focus on fitness is just the physical aspect. A fitness and wellness center will also merge in the mental aspect. So with our space right now that we're building out, it's divided into a physical area and also an area that would address working on the internal things, such as things like brain training, light therapy, more of the holistic modalities. So that's why it's like fitness and wellness. So we're trying to bring in that you should also be really fixing the inside before fixing the outside. That's where the true healing and recovery starts.
And are you doing this in Toledo?
No, so originally my business started in Michigan. Right now my studio is in Dearborn Heights, Michigan. And it's a smaller space, so this is the expansion that would allow us to provide a lot more of the services I have been wanting to provide. We actually just purchased a house in Michigan, so we're gonna be in Michigan soon, but originally I'm from here and my business is here, but I commute to Ohio because of my husband's job.
Well, we're always happy to bring business to Michigan from Ohio.
Yeah.
And I note that there's a portion of the building that has what appears to be a new overhead door. Is that a new garage door, or did I misread that?
The existing building?
In the back?
No, those doors are already, they've been there.
They've been there, and so does that fit into your use in some way, or?
We're gonna take out the garage doors and replace them in like regular doors. We're not gonna keep it a garage door, but it's not gonna be used for entrance. We're gonna use the main entrance to enter.
And I guess my final question or observation would be, it appears that you're doing quite a bit of work to the building. Are you gonna put new siding on it or paint it, or?
Oh, yeah, so, we actually just finished changing the roof. We're gonna put all new porcelain slabs on the outside, and then we're gonna do some new steel framing. I believe I sent some of the pictures to the city of Livonia. So all the outside is gonna be redone, new landscaping, we're gonna repave the lot, so we're investing over $1 million in the reconstruction process.
Okay, well, thank you for your answers, and I wish you good luck.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Ventura. And Mr. Toromina showed some of those conceptual renderings on the screen for people to see. So it gives at least an idea of conceptually what you're looking at doing for this property, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything more about the building that you would like to talk about before we continue on with questions, since it's on the screen? Is there any aspects of it that you wanted to point out, or?
No, I mean, I just hope everyone likes it. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Well, we appreciate you providing those.
Thank you.
Any other questions for our petitioner? No questions from any of the commission? We'll have you take a seat for just one moment, Ms. Durant, and we'll see if there's anyone else in the audience wishing to speak for or against this petition. Is there anyone wishing to speak on this item? If so, please come forward to one of our podiums here. Again, we'll ask for your name and address so we can attribute your comments to the record. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
We hear you good.
All right. My name is Carmen Kelly. My address is 18359 Grimm Street.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. And what would you like to tell us?
So I have a couple of things to hand out, and if you can just pass them down, I think we've got 7 of them. So the smaller picture, if you have, the word Google at the bottom represents the south side of the property in question well, the north side of the property is on the top part of the picture, and to the south of me is the other office park that has been zoned C1. So my property could potentially be straddled by 2 C1 properties. The larger picture, the larger 8x10 picture, is just an example of some of the lighting that we're getting from a C1 zoned property. And this is currently going on right now. If you look at the pictures of the lighting, you can see, all the pictures are the same. They were just, more so for the members to be able to hold on to them. But right now, I'm dealing with what can only be described as lighting that seems to have been taken by the big house at U of M. It's lit up like July at noon. This, I'll just hold up. This is a picture of my bathroom window at 10 o'clock at night. Like, it's lit up. And this is from C1 zoning. So as a separate issue, I've been talking to the ordinance department, but my concern is that these lights are coming from the end of my property, which are near where the building of the property in question are, and it's extending 500 feet to my house, and they're not pointed at my house. So in thinking about the building in question as it stands right now, I'm thinking about lighting, and then with expansion, that really puts, the back of that property is about 30 feet from my house. So, and I support the work that you're doing. I'm very familiar with it. I'm just afraid that I would have to be there all the time for wellness, just because, like my daughter was in her room last night and she's like, it's so bright in here. And so those are some of the things that I'm dealing with. And, as we think about future development, it's a gorgeous building that's being proposed. I would want to take care of it. I would want it well lit. I just don't want it 30 feet from my back door.
We appreciate your comments, Ms. Kelly. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for the visual aids. That always
No
helps.
problem.
All right, is there someone else wishing to speak? Good evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is Douglas Clinton. I live at 18339 Grimm, Livonia, Michigan, 48152. And I'm here to voice my opposition to the rezoning of this property. You need go no further than around the corner on 7 Mile Road between Maplewood and Middlebelt sits the empty VFW hall. Down the street between Gilman and Floral, the empty Up North bar. Between Antego and Rensselaer on the north side of 7 Mile, empty storefronts. Back on Middlebelt Road between Vassar and St. Martin's, the Livonia Pavilion, vacant and vandalized. The old Ram's Horn restaurant. Sears, huge commercial properties that are sitting empty. Rather than rezoning this to a commercial property, I feel it would be better for it to be residential. If new housing was built in the area, it would increase the property values of the nearby residents. And new businesses, I have nothing against new businesses starting up in Livonia, but I feel they should utilize some of the property that's already zoned commercial. So, thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Going once, going twice. No one else wishing to speak on this item? Ms. Durant, we always like to give the petitioner an opportunity to have the last word. Is there anything that you would like to say before we make our decision?
Yeah, that's okay.
Yes, certainly. You can come up to the podium.
So I tried to kind of take some quick notes in regards to the concerns that Ms. Cameron Kelly noted out. I'm not really familiar with the building you're talking about, but when I go to the building next time, I'll keep an eye out. In regards to us in general right now for the building, I'm not a big proponent of big bright lights. So our lights are actually gonna all, for the outside of the building, gonna come from the bottom and go up. I just think it's easier on the eyes, and also it's not so loud. So if that's one of your concerns, that's at least for the existing building right now. For any future expansion, that's not something we're doing right now. We have to finish building this one, which is gonna take us a good year. And the future expansion is something that we're looking at in the next 2 years or so. So that's not something we're doing right now. And if we do it, we have to go through all planning and everything. But in general, you're probably never gonna see any building that I have a hands on doing any design for it, having any bright lights. All the lights will start from the bottom going up, just because it is better for the eyes in general. And then in regards to the gentleman that mentioned all the empty businesses, I'm actually aware of that, and that was one of the concerns we had deciding to purchase something in Livonia. But where I'm at right now, that area was actually empty, and there was no businesses there. With our client base, we're dealing with a lot of the upper middle class. So when I moved into that plaza, it was completely empty. Right now, it's fully leased out. Across the street got bought out. The place next to it got renovated. So a lot of times, all it takes is one business to kind of open up an entire area for more businesses to believe in it and kind of go back in there. And that's actually one of the reasons we want to continue investing in Livonia, because we do see a lot of vacant areas, and we feel like it's a good city, but I don't know what happened with some of these businesses and why they left. But that was a concern for us even purchasing the building. But it really depends on how you look at it and the potential you can bring to a city.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ant, for your comments. And is there any other questions from any of the commissioners for Mr. Ant before we
I have a
make a decision?
question.
Sure, Ms.
So
Denaro.
if you can't build the second building in the back, does the development stop?
No, the development is not gonna stop, but right now, we're extremely limited on space. So one of my biggest things to bring more of the luxury wellness is to make it more accessible to people around here. But if I can only take on a certain number of people, I'm very limited, and I have a whole half acre that would allow me to take on another 300 to 400 memberships in the future as we expand and grow, which I'm hoping is the goal. So the goal is to continue growing. So instead of opening another location in a different city, I would rather just stay where I'm at and take on more space.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Denaro. Any other questions? One question for you, Mr. Ant, is what would the hours of your business be?
Right now, possibly would be open around 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m., and then closing around 9 p.m. or 10 p.m.
Okay, so you will have some evening clients coming to your business, okay?
Yes, it is private membership only, so the way it's gonna be is all entry, like unless you are a private member, there is no access, so all the traffic is gonna be very controlled with us.
Okay, and those members pay a membership fee to use your services, is that how that works?
Yes, correct, and the way we're also gonna try to really keep any of, as you see, a lot of gym parking lots are overcrowded and all that, so we're actually even requiring an application process for applicants. We wanna make sure that, you are looking for a lifestyle change to become a member, and that you're not just coming in here to waste time or, just go in the cafe and all that. So we wanna control traffic as much as possible.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, good. I just wanted to understand your business a little bit there. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If there's no other questions for our petitioner, I think we are done with the public hearing section. Sir, yes, feel free to come forward to the podium. Good evening, sir.
Hi, I'm
please-
Gary Reister. I live at 18329 Grimm.
Okay, thank you.
You had mentioned before when you were talking about your services that you were doing holistic processes to help people. Does this include dispensing foods and that kind of medications?
What do you mean?
Well, a lot of holistic places, they have specific diets that you have to have and specific foods that are provided by the people that are running the
So,
places.
like nutritional consulting, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, will you be dispensing foodstuffs and selling that kind of stuff?
Not necessarily like food, but we will have a cafe that has like healthier drink options, if that's what you're referring to. But it's not gonna be like a restaurant-style food, but we do offer nutritional consulting, meaning if you were to come and you need help with your food, we would create for you like basically a meal plan and a food log and all of that. And like, let's say you become a member, you would have access to our app, and with our app, you put your goals in there, and it will generate for you a meal plan automatically with your recipes, pictures, and everything.
Okay. So you're not intending to sell foodstuffs at your location?
Not like restaurant food, no, because we don't have like an open fire kitchen or anything like that. It's gonna be more like a cafe, so like smoothies, drinks on the go, stuff like that. We're gonna have like prepackaged healthy snacks on the go as well, but nothing that we're cooking inside.
Okay. Not even prepackaged stuff?
Yes, there would be prepackaged in the like to-go freezer.
Okay. Would any of this have marijuana or those products in it?
No.
Sir, your question should be directed toward us.
Okay.
But I do appreciate the dialogue that's happened here in terms of getting those questions answered quickly. Thank you, Mr. Ant. But is there any other comments you'd like to direct toward us in terms of?
No, I was just
your thoughts?
concerned if they're going to have membership only, if there will be marijuana distributed, since it's a membership issue.
Right, that would not be permitted.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Any other comments from any of the commissioners before we close the public hearing? If not, I think the public hearing can be closed and a motion is in order.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Ventura.
I'll offer an approving resolution. The request to rezone the property at 18340 Middle Belt Road from RUF, Rural Urban Farm, to C1 Local Business is hereby approved, subject to City Council approval for the following reasons. Number one, a zoning change to C1 would be compatible and in harmony with the area surrounding land uses and zoning. Number two, the proposed C1 zoning is consistent with the long-standing commercial use of the property. Number three, C1 zoning will eliminate the nonconformity and the need for future use variances. And number four, the proposed zoning change represents a reasonable and logical plan for the subject property that adheres to sound land use planning principles.
Okay, is there support for that?
Support.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Mr. Ventura, supported by Mr. Bonjero. Is there any discussion on the motion? If there's no discussion, if the secretary is ready, please call the roll.
Mr. Ventura.
Aye.
Mr. Bonjero is aye. Ms. De Niro, sorry.
Aye.
Mr. Long.
Aye.
Chairman Wilshaw.
Votes aye, motion passes. This will go to City Council with an approving recommendation. The City Council will hold their own public hearing on this item and make their final decision. Also, for folks interested in this petition, as we mentioned earlier, any site plan changes or building construction will be a separate process that will have to be started by the petitioner. It shall come to us, we'll discuss the building and that proposal at that time. So this is a multi-step process, and this is just the first piece of that. So thank you, everyone, for coming tonight, and wish you good luck with your project, Mr. Ant. If there is, well, I guess we had item number 2 on our agenda.
It's petition 2024-02-06-01, submitted by resolution of the City Council on its own motion to the City Planning Commission under Section 13.151A of the Livonia zoning ordinance as amended to determine whether or not to amend Section 6.26 of the Livonia zoning ordinance as amended to provide that no more than 2 gasoline service stations may be located within 500 feet of any intersection of 2 or more major thoroughfares, including boulevards, arterial highways, arterial streets, and city major roads as indicated on the future transportation map of the Livonia Vision 21 Master Plan.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. This is a petition that came to us from City Council. Mr. Tormino, would you like to give us information about this?
Thank you. This text amendment was initiated by the City Council. It would amend Section 6.26 of the zoning ordinance to prohibit more than 2 gas stations at a single intersection Currently, 2 intersections within the city have more than 2 gasoline stations. These are both along Schoolcraft Road and include Merriman and Farmington Roads. Because the language proposing a restriction on the number of gas stations per intersection is a special requirement of a waiver use, the council would have the ability to waive this requirement, allowing for more than 2. So there is that special allowance in the zoning ordinance that even if this ordinance is in effect, there is an opportunity in the future for the council to override that with 5 votes to allow more than 2. The city law department prepared the change, allowing for at most 2 gas stations within 500 feet of any intersection of 2 or more major thoroughfares, as that term is indicated or defined on the future transportation map. And that is it, Mr. President or Mr. Chairman. There's no correspondence related to this item.
Okay, and this is a motion by the city, so there is no petitioner on this. We are the petitioner. Is there any questions from any of the commissioners for our planning staff?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Long?
So, Mr. Tormenta, just to be clear, this is up to us to review and to offer any other recommendations or thoughts that we may have on it.
Correct.
And the one thing that I thought about, I don't have a problem with 3 gas stations on the corners at the freeway. And if the rest of the commission agrees with me, I would suggest that we craft a carve out for that. Other than that, I think this is wise policy.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Long. Any other comments from any of our commissioners? Items of discussion? If not, it is a public hearing. Is there anyone in our audience wishing to speak for or against this? We have one person in the audience. Feel free to come forward. Good evening.
My name is Christine Papayoannou. I'm at 38552 Lancaster at 48154. I think it'd be ridiculous to have more than 2 gas stations at an intersection that's not off of the service drive. One, you know, we are proud of our city. It's a beautiful city. Why would we create another eyesore like that? My other concern is having now adult young children who, when they were drivers, it just creates more traffic, you know, more congestion, and more risk of auto accidents. You know, people coming in and out. And how many times have you been, like, going down the road and someone's cutting across the traffic, you know, to make a left when they shouldn't be out of a gas station when there's a light there? I just think that it would just create havoc, you know, higher risk of fatalities, let's say. And in addition, let's think about the environmental aspects of this with, you know, EPA concerns, you know, gas spills, the tanks that we're gonna put under the ground to hold this fuel. I just think that, you know, and also the additional cars, the additional fumes from the gas stations, it just wouldn't be wise and wouldn't be healthy for us, you know, as the aspect of, you know, our air quality and, you know, like I said, the extra traffic it will bring and, heaven forbid, fatalities. And we've seen that happen so many times, even at smaller intersections. We just don't need that headache here. Off of a service drive, you know, on expressway, off back onto the expressway, fine, but not coming into our subdivisions, you know, our homes, especially with, if there's an elementary school there, or, I think you understand. So thank you for your time, I appreciate that.
Thank you for your comments. We have another gentleman who would like to speak on this item.
I'll make this short.
Good evening.
I'm Lance Gilmore. I'm 15359 Susanna Circle, and I believe that we have plenty of gas stations in the city of Livonia. I think 2 at each corner is plenty. When I drive by gas stations, I'm not seeing cars lined up 5, 6, 7, 8 cars deep. There's plenty of gas stations in the city right now. We don't need any more. Grass in trees is good. We don't need any more border and bricks. We got plenty to backfill. Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Michael O'Mara, 15622 Nola Circle. And I agree with Mr. Long. I think having no more than 2 gas stations on the corner, especially if it's not in the areas of a service drive, is the way to go. You know, we do have enough gas stations in Livonia. I'm at Newburgh and 5 Mile, and we've got gas stations over on Haggerty, Newburgh and 5. We got them up at 7 Mile. We have plenty of gas stations. So I agree with Mr. Long. I think just having 2, full agreement with that plan, so.
Well, great, thank you
Thank
for your
you.
comments. Yeah. Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak on this? Do appreciate all the audience input on this item as well, thank you. If there's no other audience communication, I think I can close the public hearing. Is there anyone, any other comments I should say from any of the commissioners before I close the public hearing? I don't see any other comments. Again, I think I can close the public hearing then at this time, and a motion would be in order.
I'd like to offer an approving resolution.
Mr. Naro, please.
Approving resolution, the request to amend section 6.26 of the Livonia zoning ordinance as amended to provide that no more than 2 gasoline service stations may be located within 500 feet of any intersection of 2 or more major thoroughfares is hereby approved for the following reasons. 1, this amendment will help prevent an undesirable concentration of gasoline service stations from locating at intersections within the city. 2, this amendment reinforces the city's existing land use pattern, which has served the community well without limiting choices or resulting in unfair competition. 3, this amendment will help reduce traffic conflicts and accidents at major intersections by reducing the driveways that gasoline service stations often require. 4, this amendment will serve to further the implementation of the goals and objectives of the Livonia Vision 21 Master Plan and is in the best interest of the community. And Mark, I assume you'll add that the exception would be service drives?
We could add that. If you would like to add that in?
I would like to add that.
We can do that. All right, is there support?
I would support that.
I'll support.
Mr. Long beat you to it, Mr.
Oh,
Butcher.
that's
You know, I didn't speak loud enough into my microphone. Just having this discussion.
We appreciate the support, though. We have a motion to approve with some slight modification by Ms. DeNaro and Mr. Long. Is there any discussion on that motion? If there's no discussion, if the secretary is ready, please call the roll.
Mrs. DeNaro.
Aye.
Mr. Long.
Aye.
Ventura is aye. Ventura.
Is aye.
Chairman Wilshaw.
Votes aye, the motion passes. We'll go back to City Council with our approving recommendation as amended. Mr. Tormina, you are okay with crafting those amendments?
Doing it as we speak.
Wonderful, thank you. That is efficient city government there. And that takes us to the end of our public hearing section of our agenda. There is only one other item on our agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of the 1,209th meeting. And all members were present except Mr. Ventura. I hear Mr. Bonjero over there.
Want me to read it off?
Please read the agenda item, thank you.
Okay. Approval of the minutes of the 1,209th public hearings and regular meeting held by the Planning Commission on February 13th, 2024.
Thank you, sir.
I'm so anxious to read that.
All right, and does someone want to offer an
So
approval?
moved.
Ms. DeNaro, and a second
Support.
by Mr. Long. That is a motion to approve those minutes. If there is no objection, I think we can show 4, right? Yep, with Mr. Ventura abstaining. And that lets us get those approved. That takes us to the end of our agenda tonight. Is there any other business to come before the Planning Commission? Hearing no other business, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. DeNaro.
Support.
Support by Mr. Ventura. Thank you, sir. And that would be a motion to adjourn. If there is no objections, I think we can safely show 5 on that motion. I hear no objections, so we will have that noted. This has taken us to the end of our agenda. I do want to quickly note that Mr. Caramagno is recovering from a procedure, and that's why he's not with us tonight. And we do want to wish him the best. We hear his recovery is going very well, and we look forward to him being at our future meetings here shortly. So with that, I do want to wish him the best on behalf of all the commission, and I want to thank everyone for attending this meeting tonight, and also to our city channel, City Livonia television staff for bringing this meeting to the public. So with no further business, we will adjourn this meeting at 7:40 PM and wish a good night to Livonia.
I think this is record time.